friend. In this video, we're going to be learning how to first download Python and then Visual Studio Codes, which is my best IDE, and I'm going to tell you why later. And finally, install your own virtual environments to manage your libraries and run your first codes in Python. So let's get started. There are different versions of Python. I started with 2.7, I believe. At least that's when I started. But as of today, we'll be downloading 3.9. So a lot has been happening. The code has been evolving and improving over time. So let me just hit that button. So you can see this file, this exe file, either in the downloads file, which is here, or you can just click here directly. All right, so what you want to do here is you want to customize your installation, right? Because you don't want your Python file to be somewhere. You want it to be somewhere you can find it quickly. So you want to first go with add Python 3.9 to path and then customize installation. All right, and then you want to make sure that all this is checked, and then you click next. After you click next, you want to go with install for user. Install for user will change the path to a pretty uniform path, which is here. So now you can still customize your Python file, but this is a pretty decent path. So now you hit install. Yes, and here you go. The download process is going. So if you want to start from the downloads, all you have to do is double click and you're gonna get exactly uh, things set up the same way. So I'm deleting these files pretty quick. And back to, let me skip that. So I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna restart this video once the setup is completed. Thank you. So friends, here we are with the installation of Python. You should be able to see this dialog box. Setup was successful. Now let's check and make sure that we do have our Python downloaded. So I'm looking for Python 3.9. You can see here from my computer that I have different version, and here it is. Um, Now let me click there. Nothing's coming up, but let me go after the command prompts. And what I want to do is I want to type Python. So when I hit Python, I should be able to see 2.9. Now I need to make something clear. You may have different versions of Python installed on your computer. Now you want to make sure that um, the default path is the path that you want to go after. What do I mean by that? If you have different Python version running, there may be a conflict sometimes in the version of Python running, right? So you don't want that to happen. If you want to run 2.7, you want Python your default to be 2.7. If you want to run 2.9, you want your default path to be 2.9. So I'm going to show you right now how to change your setup. So I want to type environment in the start menu. I want to type environment variables, and this is it right here. And what I want to do here is click environment variables, and you have two tabs. You have the user variable and then the system variables. I don't want to mess with the system variable for now. I just want to look at the user variable. So I'm gonna hit edit. Oh, let me go to new. This is how it looks like. But the point is, see my path here. I want to go to path, right? This is where I want to focus. So I'm going to click edit. And once I click edit, you can see that I have already set up my environment variable to be 3.9. If you want 2.7, then you're going to have to go to the path and look for it and paste it here. Let me show you how I did that. So all you have to do is go to where the your Python has been installed, which is under program files 3.9, right? All I have to do is click this path here and then go all the way to scripts, go all the way to script, and because really the executable is right here. So I want to copy that and paste it, remove this and paste it here, and I'm done. So once I paste it, I'm setting Python 3.9 to be my default running on my command prompt. So usually you want to reboot your computer after you set all that up, but um, in my special case I don't need to because it's already set up for me. So this is how you check and make sure that you have the Python version that you installed running on your computer. Okay, now let's go to Visual Studio Code. Let me tell you why I love Visual Studio Code. I love Visual Studio Code because on top of Python itself, you can run other programming language like PHP, Java, JavaScript, um, C++, and many other programming language. And this is pretty much for developers. So if you are a data scientist or a data engineer, you really want to consider using Visual Studio Code. There are also great IDEs like PyCharm and Spider, which are great. But for my preference, I will be going with Visual Studio Code from Microsoft. So what I'm going to do is I can hit the, I'm going to go with Windows first, make sure I'm on Windows, and then I'm gonna hit downloads, and you can see the executable downloading. And I'm gonna say follow the same path. I can either go to the download button session folder to find it, or I can just click directly here. I hit accept, next. Just gonna leave the Visual Studio Code here. Um, why this is downloading, and so there is something important that you need to make sure you check here. Okay, so you see add open with code, action to Windows Explorer menu, add open with code, action to Windows Explorer context menu. So what this is doing is you wanna Visual Studio Code has a nice feature where when you type code from the command prompt, it help you automatically open your Visual Studio Code session without even looking for the file itself. So I'm gonna make sure that um, I click those two as an option. Okay, let me just make sure that I have everything set up right since I was talking. So I think we should be good to go. And then I'm gonna hit next. You could also, by the way, create a desktop icon, but we don't need that. Um, and hit install, and I'm good to go. Hopefully, it doesn't take that long to download. So we're getting close. Okay. So my setup is complete, and if the setup is complete successfully, you should be able to see this dialog box. So I'm gonna hit finish. And here we are. We just learned how to download Python and Visual Studio Code for our work. Now, here's what we need to focus on going forward. We need to now create our virtual environment. Okay, a virtual environment is an environment that you need based on whatever project you have, where you download some packages and different packages like Pandas, NumPy, and others. So you, based on the project that you have, you may need different library, different package, and you do not want to download everything everywhere, right? So you want to be able to manage your package. That's where virtual environments come so handy. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to my folder, the folder where I want to work. and this is going to be called maybe. So I want to do everything here. Okay, so I'm going to remove what I don't need. Just give me a second since this is already open. Try again. All right. So everything is seems to be clear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for, let me show you how to do it. I'm going to look for CMD from the start menu, okay? And then usually you want to run as an administrator, but that's fine. In this case, you really don't need to do that. So as you hear, I'm going to go in this session, in this folder, and that will be CD, copy, paste. All right, so now that I'm in this folder, what I want to do is I want to create my virtual environment. So first, you want to make sure that you have your virtual environment set up. So pip install virtual env. So you want to make sure that you have that. Um, if you don't have it, it's gonna install it. But if you have it, this is what's gonna be. It's say requirement already satisfied, so that means I already have that on my computer. If not, it's gonna download properly. Now the next step would be to do virtual environment, the virtual environments, virtual VNV. Um, minus b, which means Python, and then dash dash. Now, this part is very important because I always like to specify um, the Python version that I want to use. For some people, it really doesn't matter, but to me, it does matter because when you have many Python version, you kind of start being picky on the one that you want to pick. Now, let me explain you what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm asking the virtual environment to create this syntax to create me a virtual environment using Python. And here is the path to Python. I'm going to show you where this path is. So here's my path. I'm on uh, program files, uh, Python to Python 3.9, and my executable Python.exe is right here. That's pretty much the executable that I'm calling right now. And then the name of my file is venv. It's a dot before it because it's a binary file, so different files, right? So you could call it anything else. You could call it Oscar or anything else. It really doesn't matter. Um, what you need to know is that you need to set this up properly. And when I run it, here's what it's showing. So it seems like it's running properly. It's really calling the Python version that I'm looking for, which is 3.9. And I'm waiting pretty much for the virtual environment to be created. Once it's created, I should be able to see a .venv. The file is being created, the binary file is being created right now. I just need to see, give it a little time. So this is my my working project, right? And this is where I want to put all my codes in Python. Okay, this is where I want to put all my code in Python. And you usually want to set your virtual environment inside the folder, your working folder, to make things easy. So it sounds like it's completed. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate through the virtual environment. So if I type it here, it tells me that I'm here. So I want to move one level below. Okay. And what I see is I want to get to script. Okay. So I'm going to tap again CD. I'm going to tap again CD script. Okay. And then once I'm inside of script, then I want to activate. I want to activate my virtual environment because the virtual environment, which is that venv, has been created. Now I need to activate. All right, so now you can see the difference. So before we were at the root of the C drive, right? The original was the word the C drive, but now you can see V, which is the name of my virtual environment. So every command that I launch from here would be executed in this virtual environment. I'm not gonna have to go to the Python base to run my scripts, right? So let me go back. So I would have to do this dot dot slash dot dot, and that takes me back to my folder. And I'm pretty much ready to start coding. But before coding, of course, I will have to work with a Visual Studio Code, right? My preferred virtual environment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type code dots, and let's see what happens. The reason why I was able to do that is because while I was downloading Visual Studio Code, I kind of selected those options that allow me to use code space dots to be able to launch it from a command prompt, which I think is pretty nice. Now, you on Visual Studio Code, what you need to do, and you can see your virtual environment, which is great. Now, what you need to do is hit Control Shift and P to select your interpreter. And this is very important because you want the virtual environment that you have created to be used for all your coding process, right? You don't want any other path. So uh, Control Shift plus P again, and it's gonna take you um, to a different interpreter. So you want to look for your interpreter, and you should know the version that you have and the name of your virtual environment. So you can see here that I have created many, but the one I'm interested in is the VNV that I created, and this is the how the path looks like. Okay, so I'm gonna click here, and I think Visual Studio Code is already capturing even loading my virtual environment, which is good. So I'm gonna run a test code. So I'm gonna call it testcode.py. And by the way, every Python file that you are creating should have a .py extension at the end. So once that is created, that's how it looks like. And at the terminal, I can see my terminal, which is exactly the terminal that I had um, from the command line. You can see how similar they are. Okay, so I'm comfortable now writing any code. So let me just write a simple code like print my name is Oscar. Okay, so um, to test this code, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to right click and go to run selection line in Python terminal. All right, so here it is. I was successful at printing or writing a code, a simple code. I can go even further and type 2 plus 3, run it in Python in the terminal, and that's it. I hope you like this video. You learned through this video how to install Python, install the IDE called Visual Studio Code, which will be used throughout this course, and how to set up your virtual environment, how to set up your virtual environment inside Visual Studio Code, and how to run your first Python script. I hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so to get more content, and I will see you next time for the Python next Python for Beginner course. Thank you.